Hello everyone, in today's episode we'll be giving a closer look at character creation in the 2024 Player's Handbook. More specifically, we'll be discussing the background mechanic and origin feed options.
Yeah, I remember a few months back hearing the big reveal and believing the hype at how this way was going to be a little more creative and a little more open to the process, a little more dynamic and diverse. But if I can be honest with you, Eddie, I feel a little bit cheated.
That's sad, bro.
I'm Eugene.
And I'm Eddie. Welcome to another episode of
The Middle-Aged
Barbarians.
Here on Middle-Aged Barbarians, we like to cover a wide range of topics, from tips and tricks on how to run your games, class and monster analysis, media and adventure reviews, and news updates. So whether you're new to the RPG scene or a seasoned player, an aspiring DM in the making, or a jaded veteran like us,
Stick around and watch this pair of guys be barbaric and tear your boredom to shreds.
All right, so here's the deal. Why do I say I feel cheated? I've mentioned before, I'm running that group with a bunch of new players.
Yeah.
So I figured, hey, I got the book. We have access to the new rules. Let's test them out.
Sure.
So I started the arduous
Process.
Sorry, thank you, of upgrading their characters to 5.5. And I don't know, man. It feels like, and what we did in our previous episode, we created characters. I don't know how you felt during the process. Me in particular, it felt like I had even less options than previously.
Yes, of course. I mean, it feels like it's kind of, the archetypes are more cohesive, but they're still archetypes, and you have like 3 or 4 choices per class. Actually, not as many as some other systems. You could do like really suboptimal. I mean, it feels really balanced, but part of the fun is doing really.
Well, see that I disagree. I don't think it's balanced. It's really balanced at all. Let's. I mean, I'm sure most of our viewers already know what the new mechanics are. They've probably played.
Let's give us a brief.
Backgrounds in 5.5 are not too dissimilar from 5th edition, but
they're mandatory, right?
Yeah. You have to pick one apparently. But I don't remember. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, you've played other editions than I have. I don't remember backgrounds existing before 5th edition with such a key mechanical process in the game. Like, you'd have your background, you'd have your backstory.
Yeah, I remember rolling tables sort of as an inspiration for backstory and so forth.
There were always tables that could help you get ideas on character traits and stuff on how they would be or think or feel or whatever. But there wasn't really something that would mechanically change your character.
In 3rd, we had feats that you could only take at first level. That's what we did.
But we're not talking about feats. We're talking about backgrounds.
Yeah. But that's kind of the precursor to backgrounds, at least in my mind.
Okay. So when 5th edition comes around, apparently people get in a hissy fit about your race or your species, and they want to, and I can get it, finally, whatever. I don't care anymore. You can play any species you want as any class. I agree. There were classes that had more of an inclination to make you play a fighter or a barbarian or a wizard, based on the racial modifiers that you'd get from the classes or from the races.
And the races had like bonuses to certain classes, like, I don't know, the elf wizard that was able to use a bow, which was a really big deal, or a longsword.
Oh, well, that's another thing, but I was going to mention that later. We'll mention it later. No, we'll mention it now. They took away racial weapon proficiencies.
Yeah, that was kind of a big cultural sort of thing that made sense, at least to me.
I remember you mentioned loving to play a dwarven wizard. Even if you wouldn't have a bonus to intelligence, you could still play a dwarven wizard, and when you ran out of spells, you just whip out your big hammer or axe and go to town.
Yeah. And your bonuses to crafting made sense because, well, you had
an arcane blacksmith.
Yeah, you had the rules to making items, and it made sense. Like also, both mechanically and in game. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, when they came out with all these promotional videos, I remember hearing, "Oh no, we're going to have so many options, and things are going to be so much more creative and flexible, and this and that." And then when I actually sit down and I start reading like all the backgrounds, and it's funny. I mean, I'm gonna just read some random stats out. There's 16 backstories All the backstories are comprised of the same thing. You have three options for your abilities to adjust. You can do a +2/+1 or a 3+1s. You get a tool proficiency. You get a predetermined feat with the backgrounds. You don't choose, which is something I understood very differently. You get equipment in gold, and you get 2 skill proficiencies. I don't know if I mentioned that. Now, I remember going back and looking at the Unearthed Arcana, the playtests. They included options for, making your own. The player's handbook doesn't mention it. The video says it'll be out in the Dungeon Master's Guide, so I'm sure next month I can probably read it if I get it, which I probably will.
Yes, we're victims to.
I mean, and as always, Dungeon Masters can you can veto and you can change and you can
rule 0. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But why would they market this as like so much more diversity? Your background is more important than your species. I mean, if I'm going to be, because all right, my players, there's a cleric, there's a rogue, there's a ranger, there's a barbarian. I started working on the cleric, which is my wife's character, because she wasn't going to do it. I mean, she knows.
Jimena wants to play. My girlfriend wants to play, and she said the same thing. Oh, I don't need to learn the rules.
I got you.
Yeah, I'm like.
Lovely.
Yeah, love you, babe. Yeah.
So I'm looking at the cleric, and I remember using the previous build had the acolyte, or I don't know how you pronounce it, acolyte's the way I want to say it, background. And in 5th edition, backgrounds, I guess, were a way of getting maybe like a diverse set of skills, because it would give you skills and they'd give you a tool proficiency. Maybe one of them will give you like languages, or maybe another one would give you access to feats. There were like 1 or 2 later on that came out and gave you feats. But usually it was just to get a different skill set, make your character a little more rounded or a little more appropriate to the actual background. Her cleric, grabbing the acolyte background as is now, would give her predetermined magic initiate cleric, which would give her 2 more cantrips and I think a level 1 spell. Why would I want to do so many? Yeah,
so many low-level stuff for her.
It's like, what do you really want? 5 cantrips or 6 cantrips because she's a level 5 character? I mean, I guess it could help, but I think it's a little boring and a little railroading, because then you're an acolyte, you're gonna have that. You have to get the divine. I don't know. It seems dumb. It seems.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like to really expand. That's similar to what we did building. We built a bard and another sort of.
Oh, the bard! I ended up with 7 or 8 musical instrument proficiencies.
I mean, it's probably useful in a very odd campaign. A one-man band.
Producer, what would you do with 8 instruments? Where would you put them?
You could be Prince.
You
could.
You stick them in your special bag of holding. I mean, well, I don't know. It's just it's like
you could channel Prince, be like a very good lute player, and you can play all the other instruments as well in the band.
I don't know. I mean, I've always thought of it like being more. Give me more options to make something different.
Yeah, it kind of feels like a small multi-class. I mean, it does make sense if you pick, for instance, a bard that picks acolyte. Well, that makes sense because you get some clerical things or some wizardry things. But yeah, kind of if you pick like the correct, so to speak, background, it doesn't feel well to get more of the same.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. And like, I mean, the feats are okay. There's 10 origin feats. I mean, there's some interesting things. You get lucky again. I mean, everybody loves to have a little bit of luck on their side, or you could re-roll. I mean, I didn't write down all the feats, but from what I can recall, Magic Initiate isn't actually that bad. The Ranger, he made his own upgrade or he transition. He actually chose the Druid Magic Initiate.
Which makes sense.
So his Ranger has a couple of cantrips and another spell that complements his Ranger spell list. But I mean, Alert, it's all right. Toughness,
But kind of the origin feats are all the same. It's just a bonus and a skill, right? In general.
Yeah, and actually that's what I ended up doing, and I think, which I mean, I'm sure most of you will probably be doing. If not, it's my recommendation of the day is ignore like the background options and just use the formula. Again, the Unearthed Arcana has it, and I'm sure they're going to put it out on the Dungeon Master Guide. You just pick 3 abilities that the character can upgrade, whatever 3 he wants or they want. Give them access to 2 skills. With the skills, I don't know if you want to give them open access to any skill. Would that actually break the game if they choose any 2 skills they want?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I played games in third and in fourth using those weird options, even some third-party options. And for instance, having everybody in the party having what's it called? How is it called now? Stealth.
Okay.
Because it was a campaign where everybody had to be stealthy. Even the wizard or the fighter had to be stealthy. So we built it with Feats and some other options, and it worked. It didn't break the game. I mean, it made sense. Obviously, the rogue was way better than everybody else.
Well, usually that's going to happen with skills anyway, between expertise and
so forth. Yeah, but I mean,
now that you mentioned rogue, I was looking at the rogue to do the upgrade as well, and if I were to grab the background that they originally had, they would get thieves' tools proficiency twice.
Again?
Now, granted, the original 5th edition manual does say, if your background gives you proficiency in tools that you already know, pick something else, pick a different tool set. But the new book doesn't mention anything. It doesn't say pick something else. So it kind of sucks.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm guessing it kind of presupposes that you're gonna choose a background that isn't the obvious background to your character, but that's still.
Well, how about this then? Let's just forego the background system altogether. Just forget about background. Just let your players pick what 2 or 3 abilities they want to increase. Let them pick 2 skills. Let them pick an origin feat, and have them do the actual creative process and write out their own background.
Yeah, the system is quite underwhelming. I agree with you in that aspect. It doesn't
entice me to become creative with the options it gives me. It just makes me not want to pick it. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, in general, that's the critique I have for this building. It doesn't feel as flavorful. It's rather odd. It feels kind of. We would use the term decaf in slang around here. It kind of feels a little bit decaf. We don't have the meat of. I mean, it's probably because on purpose they did it kind of foreign to a campaign, without actual flavor. But I don't know. Do we really need to have it that way?
I mean, the whole building process is backwards, at least from what we're used to or what I'm used to. Here, you're picking your class first, and then everything is just afterthought, I guess. It's inconsequential, maybe. Before, you would have to first pick your species or your race. You figure out who you are and where you came from and how you got to your class. This, I mean, obviously, creative process, I'll be doing the same thing. I already know what I want to play before I actually grab the book and look at the rules. It's just a compliment. But for like new players, which I would love to get like one of the newer players to come on here with us one day and maybe ask them how they feel the difference between editions and building their characters and stuff like that. But I don't know, man. I'm not convinced. I feel lied to.
Yeah, and it feels really hamstrung. I think that's how it felt. It feels really hamstrung. I mean, I remember in other editions, the world of possibilities, even the abundance of options. It kind of felt I could never use all the feats. I could never use everything. But that felt Umberto Eco, the famous semiologist, said that a library is more important to have a lot of books that you don't read than have a ton of books that you already read. A library has a value in the options you don't take. It isn't really intuitive, but it makes sense. It's better to have more stuff than what you really need. And I feel that this kind of has a philosophy of minimalism. It's the minimum amount of options that are easy to handle. The same happened to me in fourth. I remember reading fourth, which you love, and see there's a ton of powers. I mean, and this one feels like the best, but these other ones that aren't that optimal, I mean, it looks kind of fun doing something that isn't really different, really weird. So I mean, yeah, it kind of feels that. In other words, I kind of feel that it gives you it gives you a right answer on how to build, which is I don't really like.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, on the previous session that I had with the players, we really only kind of got through refining how the characters were going to be in the new edition, and we did a couple, just like a little bit of an RP, purchasing some items in the town and all that. And we ran out of time, so I haven't even really managed to try the combat. But I'm sure that's going to be something that I would like to discuss later.
No, we will.
The combat, because I'm scared. I'm scared about that.
We will certainly do that. And there's a board game. I forgot the name. I was kind of looking at it, but I'll get it to you later in a comment probably. There's a really interesting board game that I played with a friend who also plays D&D, and they really liked it because basically what the board game does, it builds you. It's a card game, and it builds you a backstory.
Okay.
It's kind of fun. I mean, the process rather than it's kind of organic because you have to make choices with cards and it builds to your whole background. So maybe something like that could have worked better. I mean, probably. I mean, it's all being a little bit grumpy old man, but it really felt really flavorful.
Well, all right. Well, then I'll ask all of our viewers. What do you guys think about the background system, the changes to species, the changes to what was the other thing they got in here? The I don't know, like the origin feats and all this stuff. Do you feel it makes the game easier to make? Am I exaggerating? Am I being a grumpy old man?
Yeah, making it easier to game. Is it better or worse? Because
or what other options do you guys use when you create your characters? Let us know. Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah.
I have a question for both of you.
Oh, we got a question from the producer.
Okay. Does it feel like WotC tested 5.5 before launching it?
Does it feel like this was properly tested before it was launched?
That's a very good question. I think their objectives doing the testing were wrong, and they did test it, but not.
That's a good point. What were the objectives of the testing?
I think they tested it, but the objectives I don't think were the right objectives.
And who was testing it? Because I mean, if I were to run, which I'm nobody, but if I were to run a play test for this, I would try, first of all, different groups of players. I'd go with people who've never played before. I'd go with veterans. I'd go with casual, hardcore, power gamers, each individual in different groups. But then what would the objective be?
Yeah, because...
What was the objective of 5.5?
Oh, money, obviously. Probably. Was it for new players? Was it for... Yeah, I mean...
Was it for social points and trying to fix things that those cisgendered white men from the 60s and 70s build back then? Like they wrote in their letter of be forewarned before you go into this legacy media bullshit?
Well...
Sorry, that's a nerve.
That's bad for you. Yeah, don't worry about it. I mean, just take.
I'm not really apologizing. I'm just,
Yeah, just take your hypertension medicine and you'll be fine.
I take it twice a day, my friend.
Same here. But
what was the point? What was the point of coming out with this edition?
That's something that I think.
Was it like, holy shit, the 50th anniversary is coming and we're not going to be able to do exactly what we did, so let's kind of half-ass it and do a 5.5?
Yeah, probably because, for instance, when 3.5 came, I mean, that's the edition that we had the most time to play. It really felt like 3.5 came because everybody played 3 and they came up with all the improvements they could do, and it felt really organic. This, I'm not so sure. Yeah, and plus, I mean, evidently, like Eugene said, we're not really any particular one, but it does feel a little bit pandering. It's something we were talking a little bit off camera, no? The way it's made.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the cover. I love the alternate art. I will have the 3 books in my book cubby at home, but will I be playing it that often? I don't know.
I know I'm guessing probably a lot of fans will fix things, which, I mean, it's the game is complicated because this sort of product that's rules based you can actually play whichever way you want or go back to older systems and work with it. So that's complicated from a corporate business perspective. So anyway,
let us know. Give us your thoughts and opinions, and I do need to go take some more heart medication.
Yeah. Have a good one. So that's the end of the video. If you haven't already, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel. And please feel free to leave us your comments, suggestions, and questions below.
Also, you can follow us on our other social media accounts like Instagram and TikTok. And come join us on our Discord channel over on the ND Hobby server. Links in the description below.
And as always, remember to
Rage
responsibly. We'll see you in the next episode.
Roll the dice!